Hello and welcome to 21 on 21. We're visiting today in Louisiana Square in the city of Donaldsonville in front of the courthouse with 4 people who are here to talk to us about an event that's coming up in Donaldsonville shortly. We're here with Richard Zerang, who is a local historian, Sherry Kinchin, who is our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture for the Parish of Ascension, Mr. Kurt Landry, who is also a local historian, and Becky Katz, who is Executive Director of the Donaldsonville Chamber of Commerce. If you would, I'd like for each of you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe we could start with you, Richard.
I'm a lifelong resident here in Donaldsonville. Kirk's more so the local historian. I'm just acting like a local historian. But I've been here all my life. I love this city, and hope to stay here the rest of my life.
Great. And now I'm going to just add in a little. What is this about you being in a movie or something?
Well, I've been in a couple of movies.
Oh, good. And you have one coming up?
One that's supposed to be released this spring, sometime, at some point in time.
Great. And who is in that movie with you?
Clifton Powell, Vivica Fox.
Good. Great. Well, we'll have to look for that. Wonderful. Sherry is the chairman of the Ascension Bicentennial Festival. So Sherry, welcome, and just give us just a few words this morning of wisdom about the festival.
Well, we're really excited. This will be our kickoff event that we're getting ready to talk to you about. And I taught in Donaldsonville for about 14 years, so I too love the city, and I'm really excited and proud that we're going to kick our bicentennial event off in the city of Donaldsonville.
Wonderful. Kurt?
I'm a lifelong resident of Donaldsonville, Miss Betty, and in fact I was born right across the street from here.
Oh, wow.
A few years ago, so I won't tell you how long that was. But I'm really intrigued and fascinated about the history of Donaldsonville and Ascension Parish. It's just amazing how rich the history here is. And I spent a lot of time researching and talking about that history, and that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. And Becky?
Well, I'm not a lifelong resident of Donaldsonville, but I moved here as a young child, so I consider this home, and I can't imagine anywhere else in the world I'd like to live. The people here are wonderful and friendly. The history is rich, and you can see all the beautiful architecture we have around. So it's a wonderful place to be and a wonderful place to live.
Great. Becky, tell us a little bit about the kickoff of the bicentennial and why we're doing it in Donaldsonville and when it will be and that kind of thing.
We're going to have a burial of a time capsule on April 15th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're inviting anyone who has any great ideas of what to put in it, what is so Donaldsonville and so Ascension Parish that we can bury. And we'd like to print that would be open in 50 years, so that if you have something that even belongs to your children or pictures of your children, we're inviting people to come out too and take pictures and put them in the capsule. And then 50 years from now, you can open it up, the grandchildren, I guess, will be opening it up, we probably won't be here, and see themselves as children at our bicentennial celebration.
Wonderful. Okay, Richard, could you give us just a little bit of the history of Donaldsonville? We'll start off with you and then we'll go on to Kurt.
Well, Donaldsonville is the 3rd oldest city in Louisiana. Also once served as the state capital for a year. Started out with William Donaldson planning the city, and Kurt could give you more of the details of the actual dates and how the city was started. But the city has just so much tremendous history in it. It's served as the parish seat for all these years. It's the uniqueness of the history with music, jazz, the African American culture here. It's the melting pot, it really is.
Very good. Kurt?
Oh, there's just so much to say and so little time to say it. But Donaldsonville, as Richard said, is the 3rd oldest city in the state of Louisiana. We have the 2nd largest historic district, only after the French Quarter. With the state capital in 1830. We're the home of the first African American mayor, not only in the state of Louisiana, but in the United States of America.
And who was he?
Pierre Calise Landry, who became mayor in 1868 here in Donaldsonville. We're home of Francis T. Nichols. Many of you have heard of Nichols State University. Well, Francis T. Nichols was born right across the street here.
Wow.
In 1834. He was a Confederate general who lost his left arm and his left leg in the war, came back eventually became governor of Louisiana twice, may have decided the Hayes-Tilden presidential election single-handedly, and then became Chief Justice of Louisiana Supreme Court. We're the home of the only Yankee fort in the Civil War, Fort Butler, which was located here at the junction of the Mississippi River and Bayou Lafourche. We're the home of Joe King Oliver, who was Louis Armstrong's mentor, as Richard said about jazz. Bought Louis Armstrong his first horn, taught him how to play, and in fact there are a number of university studies that contend this area is actually the birthplace of jazz. And one other little tidbit, we're the home of the most most Jewish mayors of any town in the United States of America. So a lot of history here, and I could go on and on, believe me.
Now, I know someone mentioned to me, I guess maybe it was at your office, Becky, that some doctor performed some noted operation. I don't recall.
The first cesarean section was performed here in Donaldsonville by Dr. Prevost, correct? Kurt, you correct.
Pretty close, Becky. It was Dr. Francois Marie Prevost, the namesake of our local hospital. He performed the second successful cesarean section in 1828 here in Donaldsonville.
Okay. Now, was there some African American doctor who performed some procedure too? Somebody had told me something about that.
Well, there was one of the first African American doctors, Dr. Laurie, who his office is right there in the square, was a noted and reputable physician.
Okay, that may have been whom they were talking about. Well, very good. Well, Becky, what exactly will take place the day? Isn't there some other festival that's being held and that we're sort of piggybacking on to do the bearing of the time capsule?
Well, thank you. We're having art, antiques, and authors. A 2-day event on Saturday and Sunday, the 14th and 15th of April. And we're having antique dealers from all over the country. We have a few coming from Chicago and some local antique dealers also. Authors, local authors, as well as authors from around the state have been invited. And then Steve Snyder is doing a big art show. He's invited, Grapevine has artists showing their work every month, and he's invited several of the artists that have been shown in his restaurant to come by and show their art. So it's going to be a fun weekend. We have Cajun dancing. We have local food like pralines and old-timey things. We're talking about doing old-timey like sack races and things like that. Just a lot of fun.
So it'll be something for the whole family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll have food booths so they can eat out here. We're going to put the antiques in our museum, just in case the weather's bad, and to protect the antiques, of course, even though a lot of them like to be outside. They just enjoy, the open air and having their antiques outside. So it's a great event for the family. There's a lot for the children to do, and it's a lot for you to come out and explore Donaldsonville. You can walk down Main Street and visit our restaurants and shops, so it's a good day. It's a good weekend.
That would be great. And of course, it's the weekend just before our Bicentennial Festival, so it was very important to us to have the kickoff of the Bicentennial in Donaldsonville, since the parish actually began in Donaldsonville before people started crossing the river and setting up shop, if you want to say that, in the eastern part of the parish.
Well, we really appreciate being included in that, because we are the parish seat and we're the oldest community in Ascension Parish. We had our 200th birthday last year, so it's only fitting that we began the process of the Bicentennial, and Sherry's done a fabulous job of getting it all together. It's going to be a fabulous weekend, and I hope everyone goes to Gonzales Lamar Dixon to enjoy that, because it will be outstanding.
We really think it will. We're really proud of it. We want to encourage as many people as possible to come here to Donaldsonville for the opening, the burying of the time capsule, and we did order the capsule, so it is coming. And where exactly will the time capsule be buried?
We're going to put it in front of the fountain at Louisiana Square. We thought it was so appropriate because when you look down at the plaque, the background would be the Ascension Parish Courthouse. And what better place for it to be than in the view of the courthouse? Right,
which is a magnificent view. Kurt, have you anything to add to what we...
I think the time capsule is just a fabulous idea. As some people who are familiar with the history of Donaldsonville may know, there are a number of time capsules located throughout the city in some of the old buildings. And I had a great idea, Becky. You mentioned any ideas. I think we ought to bury Richard in the time capsule.
No competition.
Would it be great in 50 years he would pop out and say, hey, let me tell you.
Quite a few people would probably agree.
I like that idea. That's good.
Well, how long have you been expounding on the history of Donaldsonville? I know several people told me, oh, you need to get
Actually,
him this.
I'm a retired fire chief here in Donaldsonville,
Oh, are you?
and I became interested in the history when I took a trip to Emmitsburg, Maryland, which is about 15 minutes away from Gettysburg. Went out to Gettysburg to check it out, Chuck Montero, my assistant fire chief, and I, and just so happens we came across the Louisiana Monument. And on that monument in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, there is a mention of the Donaldsonville Artillery, and a tribute to the Donaldsonville Artillery. And I'm thinking, wow, a monument commemorating the accomplishments and achievements of the Donaldsonville Artillery in Pennsylvania, yet we have nothing of that in Donaldsonville. What else don't I know about my community? And I became fascinated and intrigued with the history and have been ever since.
You're making it a life work since. Well, one thing that I think is going to be really neat at the festival, and Sherry, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, is that we are going to do a laser light show and fireworks and everything on the Friday night and the Saturday night. And actually the laser show, Sherry, maybe you can tell us something about it, but it's going to go all the way back to the beginning of time and
Right.
showcase Donaldsonville as the place where this all got started.
Right, the laser show will talk about not only the history of Donaldsonville, but we will see Louisiana being formed through this laser show and pyrotechnics and music. So we have earth, fire, and air that are going to come together, and literally we'll see the Mississippi River being formed, and then Donaldsonville will take its place and kick off the history of Ascension Parish.
And
So
we'll see
it-
the
it
burning of
promises-
Donaldsonville.
We will see the burning
yeah.
of Donaldsonville. We will see the ships on the Mississippi River. We will talk about the Civil War. They will talk about some of the historical figures that have made Donaldsonville and Ascension Parish what it is. But Donaldsonville will be very well represented. You can't really have the history of Ascension Parish and not start and end with Donaldsonville. It is our parish seat. So I think it's going to be wonderful, and I think Donaldsonville will be proud.
Well, we certainly, want it to be a wonderful festival, and this is the main reason why we decided to come here today. It needs to be kicked off in Donaldsonville. Have any of you anything to add to what we've already spoken about?
One thing I'd just like to say is that just like Kirk, a gentleman who used to be my neighbor, is a historian from the area, and Andrew Capone, when Andrew first started digging up information about Fort Butler, I can remember him telling me about Fort Butler, and I never even knew Fort Butler existed in Donaldsonville. And like Kirk, it just really started my interest in the history of Donaldsonville, and I've just been so fascinated with the culture, the history of Donaldsonville. And Kirk and I have done a scene several times where we reenact a scene in the life of Francis T. Nichols, and it's been fascinating studying the history of him and the city during that time.
Where would Fort Butler have been located here in Donaldsonville? Do y'all have any idea?
It's right at the mouth of the bayou, Bayou Lafourche, where which the Mississippi River used to, it was uninhibited and just flow into the bayou. And it was right there, which was a strategic point, because you had so much commerce going down the bayou and everything. And Kirk can say more about that.
In fact, in 1998 and 99, there was an archaeological dig. LSU came out and did an archaeological dig, uncovered the battery, the moat of the fort, and they also located the unmarked grave of a number of Confederate soldiers that were killed and buried out by the river. They did some thermal imaging flyovers with the National Guard helicopter, and they were able to actually locate that mass grave of those Confederate soldiers. And today, there is a monument erected by the Daughters of the Confederacy commemorating the lives and of course, the ultimate death of those Confederate Texas Rangers who were buried in an unmarked grave, and it is finally marked. There's also a memorial out there for the African American folks who helped, free men of color who helped build the fort and help defend that fort against the Confederate attack.
That's really interesting. I was sorry that the African American Museum here that what is her name?
Kathy.
Kathy was not able to be with us today. She had another engagement, but she's helping us as well with some of the artifacts and different things from the museum. So, well, I appreciate you all being here today very much, and we look forward to burying the time capsule in Donaldsonville, and hopefully it'll be good weather, so, you know, for your little festival as well as for the kickoff for the bicentennial. Thank you so much.